Good evening, Chicago. Welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. Tons to go through tonight. We will have the Cubs having their home opener at Wrigley this afternoon, and history was made in the friendly confines. We might have ourselves a new favorite pitcher on the north side, Shota Imanaga, with an impressive debut today. We will be breaking that down and celebrating that. Then we've got the other side of town, where it's not quite as exciting or fun to be discussing, but you know, we want to give some fair credence as the White Sox are doing their best to look like they just might be the worst team in all of baseball. We also still have some March Madness to talk about. The Fighting Illini. What a job by them. Unfortunately, they are eliminated, but a terrific run for Illinois. We will recap and discuss that before finally, it is April. You know what that means in the NFL landscape. The draft is right around the corner. Make your case. Will return tonight as we dive deep into the draft prep. All that plus more coming up right now on Chi-Town Weekly. Do not go anywhere. And hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome back into Chi-Town Weekly. I am your host, Adam Karnick. Glad that you are here with me. We have a lot to get through tonight. We've got baseball, we've got college hoops, and we've got NFL draft prep work to be getting through. Lots to get to over the next 57 minutes or so of the show tonight. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. And of course, we want to start off, as we do every week, by thanking and acknowledging our sponsors here at the show and at the station. Starting with Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, the single-A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all-brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Find them on planetjerky.net. They offer free shipping on all orders of $50 and above. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. And we are brought to you by Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations, and you're looking for that extra special touch. Or maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend, and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Well, then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps. For your invitations, letters, and gifts is for you. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. Find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps or on Facebook by searching Seal the Deal Wax Seals. And IE Sports Radio for the last 9+ years has brought you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports cities around the country. Make sure to follow us at IE Sports Radio on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to keep up with the latest in sports and with our shows. Also, check out our daily updated website, iesportsradio.com, for sports news, the IE Sports Radio blog, our Hall of Fame, Fans of the Month, pages dedicated to each podcast, our IE Sports Radio community forum, and stop by the shop to check out the merchandise. Thank you for making IE Sports Radio your direct feed for all that is sports. And you heard how to follow along with the station there in the read. You can also follow along. This show is available for you as well on social media. You can follow the show on Twitter at IESRC. We are available there. Or you can also follow along with me personally. I am at Adam_Karnick on Twitter. All right, so let's start. And if you're listening live here tonight on Spreaker.com, hop on into the chat room. We've got a lot of people buzzing in there already. Taryn Rodriguez, Jen B., Larry B., Arthur Parsons. Good evening, one. Good evening, all. So glad you are here. We're able to interact and have some fun this way. Or if you find yourself listening later on during the week, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google, YouTube Podcasts, YouTube itself, however you're listening to the show, or you just want to sit back and listen, thank you for being here. That's the important part. Thank you so much for being here and making this part of your sports week. So let's dive in, huh? Let's start with the good, shall we? The Chicago Cubs. It was a bit of a rough weekend for them, all in all. A rough start to the season, starting down in Texas. Not only did they drop 2 out of 3 games to the defending champions, but they lost their ace, Justin Steele, in the season opener with a grade 1 hamstring tear. He will be out for at least the month of April, according to new manager Craig Counsell. They expect that he will miss the entire month of April. So it was a bit of a rough opening series there for the Cubs, but they had some good things going on today, making their home debut earlier this afternoon at Wrigley Field. And it was the not just Cub debut, not just Wrigley Field debut, but also the Major League debut for Cubs starting pitcher Shota Imanaga. And what a performance he had. Was perfect through 5 2/3 innings. Finally gave up a hit in the 6th. He left the game 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no walks, 9 strikeouts, no earned runs, and he earned the victory in his MLB debut, keeping the Rockies hitters off balance all throughout the game. And he absolutely dug in on wanting to make sure that he wanted to endear himself to the fans between, first of all, not wearing long sleeves under his jersey. That's something that is always going to appeal to fans. At any point when you're going out there on a cold, gray, potentially rainy afternoon, and you go out there without sleeves in April, that's gonna earn you some brownie points at the fans. Then he selects for his walk-up music the immortal classic by the Fratellis, Chelsea Dagger. I heard that and it was just like, oh, you have my attention, sir. Please do go on. He said after the game that he had come to the States and attended a Blackhawks game and loved not just the song, but how fans reacted to it as well, and just knew, okay, this is going to be mine. I want to use this. But then everything he did on the hill worked for him today. He threw 92 pitches, 65 of them for strikes, 9 strikeouts on the day, kept the Rockies off balance constantly all throughout the game. A sparkling debut. And he even got the win. The game was scoreless when he left it after 6 innings. But Christopher Morel was able to open up the scoring thanks to a massive blunder in the outfield. Nick Nolan Jones for the Rockies, a huge error in the bottom of the sixth inning allowed Morel to have a Little League home run. It officially went down as a single and then a three-base error on Jones as Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, and Christopher Morel all scored as the ball squirted underneath his glove. Cody Bellinger added some insurance, a two-run single in the seventh. Cubs come away from this one 5-0 winners to get back to 500. So after dropping the first two games out in Texas, losing Justin Steele, seeing Ben Brown, their promising young prospect, come up to take Steele's spot, but then also watching as Brown got absolutely torched in his major league debut, giving up 6 earned runs and 1 2/3 innings. They've now won two. They've now won 2 in a row. They're back to 500. There's good feelings going on. Mike Pat mentions in the chat room, I do love a good 3-base error. Yeah, those are kind of, this one was pretty straightforward too, where it's just, kid, just get the glove down and you'll field the ball. Make sure you field the ball before you do anything else. Instead, this one, it squirted right under the glove, rolled all the way to the wall, and pretty much as soon as that happened, you knew Morel was going to be scoring pretty comfortably from first. So certainly some good vibes on the north side after the game today. Unfortunately, the good vibes wouldn't be felt throughout the entire city because the White Sox had to go and play a game today. The White Sox also had a rough start to their season, hosting the Detroit Tigers to start the season. They got swept. You might have taken some solace as a Sox fan that, well, at least all 3 of the losses were only by 1 run each. 1-0 in the opener, in which Garrett Crochet actually pitched very well, incredibly well. You know, the feeling going into that game with Garrett Crochet was, you know, if he gets into the 5th, that's an amazing performance. Instead, he went 6 innings and struck out 8, didn't walk any while giving up 1 earned run and scattering 5 hits. An impressive performance. He winds up taking the loss because the Sox have no hitting to speak of in the game. They got 2 base hits, both of them singles, and nobody advanced any further than that. Then they lose in extras on Saturday before dropping the series finale 3-2 on Sunday. So you're thinking, hey, 3 1-run losses. All right, maybe it's not going to be so bad. Well, then they went and hosted the Braves today. They went and hosted the Braves today. Officially, it was shortened because of weather. 2 separate rain delays. The grounds crew, the umpires decided to call it. I think it was really a mercy rule. I think it was the officiating crew decided it wanted no more to do with this game, wanted absolutely nothing to do with it. By that point, by the 8th inning, everybody that was there, and officially there were almost 14,000 people in attendance. I don't believe that for a second. The pictures I saw didn't look like it was that full. Looked like maybe there were a third that many at best when the game started. As the Sox lost in miserable fashion to the Atlanta Braves 9-0. Chris Flexen with the start went just 4 1/3 innings, giving up 4 runs on 6 hits, walked 3 and struck out 1, and it didn't get any better from there. You had Brian Shaw come out and throw an inning and 2/3. He officially was credited giving up 2 earned runs on 3 hits. Just a miserable game, all said and told. The White Sox offense managed just 3 hits, 2 of them from Yoan Moncada. Moncada today, I want to pull up. I'm sorry, I want to make sure that I'm getting this correctly when I say what they were. And it's gonna fight me. So, and then Dominic Fletcher had the other base hit for the White Sox, but another just miserable game for the Sox. And Eloy Jimenez failed to make it out of the month of March. It's April 1st, and already Eloy Jimenez is down. So, just miserable things happening on the South Side, unfortunately, as the Sox fall to 0-4 already on the season, and it just doesn't look like anything good is going to be coming out of the South Side at all this season for the Sox. They did re-sign Mike Clevenger this evening. Oh boy, there's instilling confidence there. We'll be sure to play into that. Why don't we? So, good and bad on the baseball side of things. As Wesley Trublick, good evening, Wesley. Good to see you. He's checking in. I know he is going to be absolutely interested in how we're going to be closing the show tonight. We're having the return of Make Your Case, talking about the NFL draft here coming up later in the show. But yeah, Mike Clevenger is back. Oh boy, woohoo, yay, exciting. Wake me when it's over, please. It is a 1 year deal. As he comes back to the Sox after spending all last season with them. But we'll see what that means for the Sox as a whole. Nothing good, honestly, will come from it. It'll be a rough one. But so I did put it up there on Twitter over the weekend. I meant it half in jest, but I mean, I'm thinking, who are the Sox of whom I speak? Yeah, I know that's the other baseball team in town. Not going to be a whole lot to speak about with them this season. Unfortunately, it's going to be a long one on the south side of town there. I threw up there on Twitter over the weekend when Justin Steele went down, and I asked, what's going to happen first? Justin Steele comes back, or the White Sox win a series? And obviously not the world's largest sample size, but 2/3 of the votes came back that Justin Steele will return for the Cubs before the White Sox will take a series. And keep in mind that Justin Steele is expected to not be back until May. So we've got a solid 4 weeks yet before Justin Steele is expected back with the Cubs. But I will take more of Shota Imanaga. I tell you, after that performance today, it's an MLB debut. It's the Rockies, so clearly not the same as facing the Rangers. Not the same there, as I know our Heart of Texas host Drewski was very excited over how that series went. We were having some playful back and forth over the weekend on that. But I'll take me some more of Imanaga. That was terrific. That was absolutely spectacular today. Loved seeing that. And just, he's a guy that is absolutely energetic. Absolutely. He's got the fire and the passion. You love to see that. He is fitting in wonderfully through his first start in Chicago. Enjoy seeing that. Before we take our break, Patty Bax is in the chat. Patty is the host of our Buffalo Huddle on Tuesday nights. Thank you for the book, Patty. I received I received a picture book from Patty Bax full of some wonderful images from Alaska, from the Northern Lights, from an Alaskan perspective. I have thoroughly been enjoying going through that book. It is a wonderful, wonderful picture read. I've been showing some of it to my daughter too. She's been getting very into. She keeps coming home from the school library with these books about weather, and they tend to be somewhat dramatic. They're science books. They're not fiction books, but they're things like the devastating effects of floods, the horrible hurricanes, or things like that. And it's like, wow, you want to be reading this? Well, Dad, look at this picture. Look at that picture. Ah, okay, I'm with you here. Okay, I got you. So having her seeing them too, she's catching on to that. So thank you very much for the wonderful book, Patty. It's been excellent. I've got it over by the chair upstairs right now, as a matter of fact. Before we take our one and only break of the night tonight, I do want to also quickly recap Illinois. It's been a couple of years of Final Four, of March Madness stuff since I've actually had to go into April with it. Normally we'll have Matt Garner on and we'll preview the brackets and we'll have some fun there. And then it's usually we basically just wash our hands of it because all the relevant teams are gone. Northwestern usually doesn't qualify 2 years in a row though for Northwestern. Illinois is almost always out of it in the first weekend. And then we had Loyola make a little bit of a run at one point, but it wasn't, they also then made some early exits, and we haven't had a whole lot of other local teams do anything. So it's rare that I've gotten to talk March Madness this late. Illinois, I want to give some kudos and props to them for a wonderful season. For the first time in almost 20 years, they made it out of the first weekend. That hadn't happened since 2005, making it all the way to the final game, that they got even out of the first weekend. So kudos to Coach Underwood there on that. An excellent job on Thursday night in the Sweet 16, coming back against Iowa State in a terrific game. Terrence Shannon Jr. had himself a terrific tournament on the whole and helped lead Illinois in that upset win over Iowa State. Unfortunately, all good things must come to an end, and in this case, they ran into the buzzsaw that was UConn. UConn, I'm not saying that UConn is going to win the tournament, but UConn, so far through the first 4 rounds, absolutely looks like the best team in the field. And you saw just the perfect example of that on Saturday when, if the game was 20 minutes long, Illinois was in it. It was tied at 23 with 2 minutes to go in the first half. Then that run happened. A 30-0 run for UConn. Yeah, good night, Gracie. That's it. That run let everybody know everything that needed to happen at that point, that it's, this is done. Good night. We can lock this one up. It's all over. And ultimately, UConn wins 77-52 in the game. But I'm not going to disparage Illinois. That was still a terrific tournament run. And they ran into a better team. There's no reason to hang your heads. There's no reason, if you're an Illinois fan, to be more disappointed than simply getting knocked out of the tournament. There's always going to be disappointment when you get knocked out of the tournament, but you have no reason as an Illinois fan or an Illinois alum to be upset or hang your head in any way losing that game. Yeah, the final score is rough, but that UConn team is scary, scary good. All right. We are going to take ourselves a quick little break, and then on the flip side, it's making its return, and I'm going to give it a little more length tonight, and I'll explain why in a little bit. The NFL draft is just a couple of weeks away, and so it is time to get into the nitty and the gritty of it all. We are going to make our case. Make Your Case returns on the flip side. Do not go anywhere. This is Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. We'll be right back after this.
Yo, 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 what's going down? This is Spaced Out Sports with your host, J-Man, giving you all Houston sports straight from the source. Brought to you IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. In this show, we're going to talk about everything Houston, through and through, and everything. We're going to talk about the surrounding areas. We're going to talk about local sports, everything in Texas in general, mainly Houston, but we're going to talk about everything in the sports world. I want to hear from y'all. Y'all definitely going to hear from me. We're going to go from anything all over, from football to MMA to everything. Let's have a good show. I'm looking forward to hearing from the city. Y'all make sure y'all just check me out every Wednesday right here at Spaced Out Sports, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen, hear me and hear me good. If you like sports, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like comedy, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. If you like a different opinion coming from a different angle, then you like the Wait a Minute Show. So join me Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time with your host, Jelani J.B. Bodie. And of course, my man Lopan on the WaitAMinuteShow.com. Ain't that right, Lopan?
Hey sports fans, do you like wine? Well, we've got the show for you. This is Let's Wine About Sports, a show where we talk about wine and sports simultaneously. From the classic Cabernet Sauvignon all the way down to the grapes that you've never even heard of before. Oh yeah, we cover it all. And we'll talk about a little bit of sports as well. Football, hockey, collegiate, women's sports, it doesn't matter. We're going to talk about it all, and we're going to whine about it all. So join me Monday at 8 p.m. on IU Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Everybody, this is Taryn Rodriguez. Are you a fan of volleyball? Are you a fan of Thunderous Spikes? Then I have the show for you, Set Point, where I cover NCAA men's and women's volleyball, high school boys and girls volleyball, beach volleyball, and even professional volleyball. Catch the action every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
And welcome back on into Chi-Town Weekly here on IE Sports Radio. Adam Karnick back with you. So, it is April. We know what that means in the NFL sports calendar, that draft season is upon us. And I debuted this last year, had a lot of fun with it, so I decided I would do it again this year. Make your case. So we're going to kind of set up the ground rules here a little bit. And this is an opportunity for you, the listener, to more actively interact with the show also. I'm going to be, over the next several weeks between now and the NFL draft, we've got 4 shows, including this one tonight, between now and the start of the NFL draft. Every week, every show, I will be talking about different players and make the case for why Ryan Poles should select that player with either the first pick or the 9th pick, since the Bears have 2 first-round picks this year. We'll be going through, looking at some different players. Now, tonight, I have selected all the players, but you, the listener, have the opportunity to program the show. If there's a player that you are interested in, say you're really interested in wide receiver Marvin Harrison Jr. or defensive end Jared Verse, or I don't know, Arthur Parsons, if you're still listening, you threw a punter at me for this segment last year. If there's somebody that you are interested in, offer it up. Again, you can put it in the chat room right here in the show. I want to hit me up on Twitter. Again, the show is at IESRC, or me personally, I am at Adam_Karnick. You can throw it at us on IE Sports Radio. However you want to do it, throw the name at me. Get stuff at me, and absolutely I will bring them up on a future episode. Tonight is going to be I just want to talk about the quarterbacks right now. And I see Wesley Trueblood is already throwing some names at me. I love it. Caleb Williams, and then also Malik Neighbors. We will be getting into Neighbors. Absolutely. We will be talking about him. But tonight, I just want to focus on the quarterbacks. And I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. Obviously, it's the biggest priority for the Bears since they've traded Justin Fields to Pittsburgh. That's the number one spot. That's the number one need. Tonight's going to be a little different, though, because unless something absolutely unforeseen happens, I 1,000% expect that Caleb Williams will be the selection at number 1 overall. There might be just some bizarro scenario that happens to change that, but I don't see it. I don't expect it. So tonight's going to be a little bit different. We're absolutely going to talk about Williams, but I do want to give some fair... I do want to get some fair time to the other guys, because there are some very valid quarterbacks that are also available in this class. And there's one in particular that I think is resonating with a lot of Bears fans for a particular reason, that he reminds Bears fans of somebody very special, and I'll get to that. So I want to give some credence. Now, I also want to give some fair credit. A lot of what I'm going to be reading off for you is coming directly from Athlon Sports. They do an excellent draft preview every year. I've been following them for a bit, using them for lots of everything for the last several years, and this is coming from a lot of their draft prep work. So I do want to give some credit to where credit is due here. And we'll start with the big one. We will start with Caleb Williams, quarterback out of USC. 6'1", give or take, 215 pounds, 22 years old. His strengths, an arm talent that can't be taught, making highlight reel throws with regularity. Best at creating outside the pocket when the play breaks down, uses his instincts and elusiveness to buy time for his receivers to get open, and then delivers eye-popping throws that few other quarterbacks would dare even attempt. These are some of the same traits that also make him a threat as a runner, making opposing defenses pay for turning their backs in man coverage or giving him enough space in their soft zones to pick up chunks of yardage on the ground. His weaknesses, however, after winning the Heisman Trophy in 2022, everyone knew what Williams looked like at his best. However, more consistency was what was the next mile marker for his development. Unfortunately, Williams might have been more inconsistent with his play in 2023 than he was the year before, struggling with decision-making and accuracy far too often, particularly when forced to remain in the pocket. USC's struggles along the offensive line didn't help, and the Trojans' defensive ineptitude, Larry can tell us all about that, left Caleb having to play, quote, hero ball too often, pressing for big plays that just weren't there, which often led to turnovers. In the final analysis, Williams may not have lived up to the sky-high expectations set by winning the Heisman Trophy in 2022, but his supporting cast might be more to blame for his worst moments in 2023. He still has rare traits that will set him apart at the next level, and that kind of ceiling will always be worth swinging for the fences, especially at quarterback. They give him a grade of first round. With his weaknesses, Williams needs to speed up his processing. That is something that is going to be true for every single quarterback coming out of college. They always need to play faster because the NFL game is simply a faster game. But there are simply too many positives for Caleb Williams. The dynamic plays, the ability to play off script, yet his determination to keep the play alive at all costs. He talked during his pro day about how he doesn't want to scramble to run. He wants to scramble to he wants to scramble to stay behind the line and throw the ball. That is his big thing. I know that there are off-field questions about him. He has a very large personality. Painting of the fingernails, the pink iPhone case, the colored lips. This young man's got a big personality. I got no problems with it. None whatsoever. If you be you. You know, if there's one thing we learned, if there's one good thing from Matt Nagy that we all learned, it's be you. There's reasons for the things that he does in his personality. The biggest one that I always hear about is, oh, the nails. He colored his nails. Yes, his mother was a manicurist when he was growing up. And he learned from his mother. And it was a way for him to bond with his mother. And so it's a way for him to show love and appreciation to her. Go for it. We got so many people in this world that are afraid, that want to hide who they are for fear of endangering or upsetting other people. This guy wants to be him. You go be you, young man. I got no problems with any of that. If he is what a lot of people expect him to be, there's a lot of people in Chicago that aren't going to have any problems with it either. So I fully expect Caleb Williams to be the pick by the Bears, but I don't want to ignore some of the other quarterbacks either. So that's making the case for Caleb Williams. And Wes, that quote from Caleb Williams got him all excited. As a former coach, he is excited hearing that. And Taryn with the wonderful USC's defense ranked 133rd out of 134. They weren't the worst. There was one more below that. I shudder to think which one. Who was number 134, Taryn? I got to know who was 134. While you're looking that up and getting that in the chat, let's go to the next one, because this is one. There's a lot of Bears fans that are interested in this particular quarterback, and I think I know why. And Wes, you hit it in the chat right there, sir. Jaden Daniels is very popular with a lot of Bears fans. The quarterback out of LSU. We'll start with his vitals. And Arthur Parsons, I know you're the host of our Louisiana show, the Bayou Bulletin. I know you are very familiar with this young man. 6'4", 210 pounds, 23 years old. The first thing that jumps off the tape with Daniels is obviously his explosiveness as a runner, something that's been evident since he first stepped onto the field at Arizona State. His elite straight-line speed and elusiveness make him a nightmare for would-be tacklers, both in and around the pocket and in the open field. He's not just a running quarterback who can throw, though. Daniels has made huge strides as a passer since transferring to LSU, showing off NFL-level proficiency in processing defenses, making the right reads, threading accurate passes into tight windows, and delivering quality deep balls with consistency. His weaknesses. The biggest question mark with Daniels will be his lean frame, which might require some added bulk if he wants to survive the physicality of the NFL game without dealing with injuries on a consistent basis. Daniels had a stellar 2023 campaign, but doubters might wonder whether or not he can sustain that level of play consistently against pro competition, or if this past season was the exception for Daniels rather than the rule. In short, Daniels has always been an explosive playmaker as a runner, but his development as a passer is what has launched him into the first-round conversation. The 2023 Heisman Trophy winner appears to have all the makings of a potential superstar at the next level, with strong comparisons to Lamar Jackson's skill set. That kind of potential at quarterback rarely falls out of the top 10. I have, on more than one occasion, I have referred to Jaden Daniels as Justin Fields light. I understand why there's a huge portion of the fan base that is in love with the idea of drafting Jaden Daniels. He looks like Justin Fields. 6'4", Fields is 6'3". Explosive runner. He makes all those exciting plays happen. there's a few things that give me concern. He's 15 pounds, he's almost 20 pounds lighter than Justin. And Justin had 2 quality seasons of tape from Ohio State before getting drafted. Before this season, Daniels was thought by a lot of scouts to be a day 3 prospect, a 4th or 5th round prospect. He exploded onto the scene this season, and that's due in large part to having 2 first-round wide receivers there in Louisiana State with him. It's almost not fair to Daniels to count that against him, that he's got Malik Neighbors and Brian Thompson Jr., 2 wide receivers that are almost certain to go in the first round. But the simple fact remains that it's very likely that Daniels will get drafted into the NFL and have worse weaponry around him as a professional rookie than he did in his last season at LSU. So I'm very leery of Daniels. But this is make your case. I want to try to keep it positive. The case for Daniels is he is Justin Fields. He's only 2 years younger than Justin Fields, but you're now getting a full rookie clock to try and develop that skill set rather than one season, realistically a tear down plus 1 season. That's the argument for why you would take Jaden Daniels if you're the Bears. I absolutely do not believe it to happen. As Wes is pointing out here in the chat, that just the size, the lower weight is going to scare some people, and it's tough to learn how to play from the pocket. And teams will try to do their best to take that running ability away from him. But that is Jaden Daniels from LSU. I'm going to try to get a couple more at least in here before we close the segment here tonight. And again, if you've got players in future segments, tonight is just quarterbacks, but going forward, I'll be spraying to all fields. You throw a name at me, I will do it. So by all means, throw some names into the chat room. I want to see them. Again, hit me up on Twitter at IESRC or at Adam_Karnick. Some names that you want to see me do over the next several weeks here. Next up is a quarterback that comes from a place that is fresh in our minds as Bears fans, and I'm trying very hard to not hold that against this particular young man. That would be Drake May. Another big guy, 6'4", 230 pounds, 21 years old, out of the University of North Carolina. It's a cliche at this point, but if you look up checks all the boxes in the franchise quarterback dictionary, you'll probably see a picture of May, according to Athlon. He's got the top shelf arm talent to deliver every throw to all levels of the field, and he knows when to use the right amount of touch to layer his throws over opposing defenses and into open windows. He's got enough athleticism to make defenses pay for losing track of him outside of the pocket, and he's got the prototypical frame to hold up to the physicality of the NFL game. Similar to Williams, May appeared to take a step back in his consistency this past season. His accuracy and decision-making were spotty at times, and his biggest struggles seemed to come from reacting to post-snap changes from the defense. Those complexities won't get any easier at the next level, so May's ability to process quickly, make the correct reads, and deliver accurate throws will be paramount and should be the top priority in his development. Also, like Williams, May needs to learn when to let a bad play die instead of making it worse trying to play hero. In the end, May has everything you want in a top quarterback prospect from a physical standpoint, but the mental side will have to catch up if he wants to live up to his lofty potential. The right coaching staff, a solid supporting cast, and a little bit of patience will go a long way here, but any NFL team will bank on the upside of his physical tools. Athlon gives Drake May a first-round grade. For me, the concern with Drake, and again, this isn't fair to him, just like with Jaden Daniels, having 2 first-round wide receivers really shouldn't be held against him. He plays at the same school that Mitchell Trubisky played at. That right there gives me pause. There's still some sports PTSD going on there with that one for me. But I shouldn't hold that against Drake May. What I do hold against May a little bit, his footwork is questionable to me at times. He seems like it seems very fixable, but to me it just looks like he doesn't follow through. He doesn't step into his throws enough. He shortchanges his feet. When he moves, he relies too much on his arm. You can coach that out of him. You can absolutely help him with that, but it is a concern. From a physical standpoint, he's everything you want. He's 6'4", 230. That is if you're prototype making a quarterback, that's what you want it to look like. 6'4", 230 with some mobility. Like everybody, he's going to have to speed up his internal clock. He's got to be able to make the reads faster. I know Wes is a fan of Drake May. He likes him. I think May is going to be one of these guys that when he goes, that whatever team drafts him is going to say, the plan is that we are going to sit him for a year, and then we'll put him in next year. That we'll give him a year to develop, and then about 8 weeks into the season, he will be starting because the veteran in front of him will just be playing so poorly, and the outrage and the outcry from the fan base will be so great to put him in that they'll put him in. That's what I think is going to happen with Drake May. For the Bears, the reason you take him is he's the closest to the prototype that you're going to get. The physical traits are all there. The physical traits, the height is a concern with Caleb Williams. Size is a concern with Jaden Daniels. Neither of those is a problem with Drake May. You still have the mobility, which I believe in today's NFL is a must for the quarterback. The days of your pure 100% lives in the pocket, dies in the pocket, I think those days are over for NFL quarterbacks. You'll occasionally get there's exceptions to every rule, but you're just not going to see as many of that anymore. He has the mobility, but there are some footwork issues. There are some diagramming and processing things that I think will be enough to push May a little bit further down, and ultimately Williams will be the guy that they take. I'm going to do one more here real quick, and this is going to be for this one in particular is for Tyler Reeves. I know he's a listener, but isn't and he sent this one to me. He's not going to be able wasn't able to listen live tonight. He let me know. But I'm gonna get in one more for him here as we close this out, and that is gonna be Michael Penix Jr. As I pull up his as I pull up his from Athlon here. Oh, no. And it's escaping me. I apologize. And it ran off. All right. Well, we will just simply go another way here. I do apologize, as I had one up for him and then lost it. We will pull this one off of NFL.com. Their write-up. Michael Penix Jr., 6'2", 216-pound senior out of Washington. He will be a 24-year-old rookie with a history of season-ending injuries, both at Indiana and at Washington. The Huskies' offense helped declutter coverages for Penix, allowing him to throw a high number of intermediate and deep passes. He plays with smart pocket mobility and a willingness to get rid of the football, which makes it difficult to sack him. His delivery is bundled and his release point is very low, but his monster game against Texas showed flashes of impeccable touch. Penix has plenty of arm, but needs to work with more consistent timing between the numbers to eliminate unnecessary contested throws. He's a pocket passer who was ineffective in 23 when defenses were able to crank up the heat and make him move his feet. Playing in a shotgun-based spread attack might give him the best chance to succeed, but he needs to prove he can thrive outside of the Washington offense and stay free from injury. Possesses enormous hands to control the football, sees pressure creeping up pre-snap and gets himself protected, makes sudden transition from his drop to his release, slides from pressure and resets to find his platform, wrist flick sends it 50-plus yards without effort, has ability to make drive throws with added velocity when needed, fearless attacking the far sideline buckets between the corner and the safety, was sacked only 31 times in over 1,700 dropbacks, according to PFF. However, he suffered multiple season-ending injuries during his time at Indiana, tearing his ACL twice, posted 20 touchdowns and 9 interceptions over his final 11 games last year, forces receivers to break stride on a variety of throws with wide-open front side when feet fail to follow his eyes, heavily reliant upon receiving talent winning jump balls. Production and consistency plummet when forced to throw outside of the pocket. They give him, this is from NFL.com, they give Michael Penix Jr. a grade that he will eventually be an average starter in the NFL. I can't make a huge case to take him with one of the Bears 2 first-round picks. He would absolutely be somebody to look at, not necessarily for the Bears because of how few picks they have, but for somebody like, we'll say, for example, the Detroit Lions, if they decided Hendon Hooker wasn't the guy for them after a year and wanted to look at another rookie, where they could sit him certainly for a year or two to really help him adjust. A place where you have a clearly established veteran to help him along would be the best spot, I feel, for Michael Penix Jr. That is going to do it for the episode this week. Huge thank you again to our sponsors, Planet Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, and to Seal the Deal Wax Seals with Cecilia B. Find them both on Instagram at Planet Jerky or at SealTheDeal_wax stamps. Thank you to Larry B. for everything you do, sir, the czar and overlord of all things IE Sports Radio, and also for hanging out in the chat room with us. Thank you to everybody else in the chat room. Wesley, Taryn, Arthur, Patty, Mike, Pat, Arthur, Parsons, Jen B. Thank you to everybody being in the chat room tonight. Finally, thank you, the listener, for being here. Whether you were listening live here tonight on Monday or you were listening later on in the week against Google or Spotify, iHeartRadio, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, wherever you find the content. Thank you for being here. You got a player that you want me to talk about, that you want me to make the case for your guy, send him my way. Again, on Twitter, at IESRC, at Adam_Carnett. Use the hashtag Make Your Case. Let me know who it is you want to know about, and I'll make the case for why he should be one of Ryan Pohl's selections on the draft. Next week, we will be making our case. We'll be checking in on the Cubs and the Sox. The Bulls are coming up on the end of their regular season, getting ready to make a playoff push. We're gonna look at that, see what will be going on for the play-in tournament for the Bulls, see what kind of noise they might be able to make, if any, this off in this postseason. Coming up next here on IE Sports Radio, Taryn Rodriguez and Set Point, getting us caught up on everything happening in the volleyball world, so be sure to stick around for that. Until then, I am Adam Carnett. This is Chi-Town Weekly for IE Sports Radio. Everybody be safe, be healthy. We will see you next time.